Arteries are the blood vessels that transport oxygenated blood from the heart to the rest of the body. As you know, our bodies rely on oxygen for survival, which means that our arteries serve a pretty important purpose, right? But sometimes our diet and lifestyle choices can cause arteries to become clogged, which increases the likelihood of a heart attack or stroke. This is a term that is referred to as atherosclerosis, and it often goes unnoticed until symptoms such as chest pain start to arise. There are definitely some foods that many of us eat that can increase the likelihood of a blockage, and that is exactly what we are going to talk about in this video. Be sure to watch until the end because there's one food that almost everyone eats far too often. So if you're ready, let's get into it. Just a quick reminder, we are not doctors. This video is for informational purposes only. But the first food that we should bring to your attention is red meat. Eating too much beef, lamb, or pork has been linked to an increased risk for heart disease and diabetes. The reason is red meat tends to be high in saturated fat, which elevates your cholesterol levels and increases your risk of a heart attack or stroke. One study found that those who eat 2 or more servings of red meat per week had a higher risk of cardiovascular disease and premature death. With that said, I'm not suggesting that you never eat red meat ever again. Just be mindful of how much of it you are consuming in your diet. Another food that is bad for the cardiovascular system is pizza. I mean, let's be real here. While pizza is delicious, let's take a step back and look at the ingredients. Refined flour in the dough, fatty cheese, sugary sauce, and usually processed meats that are full of saturated fat, sodium, and nitrates. Look, I get it. It's an amazing combo that is hard to beat when it comes to taste. However, when it comes to protecting your arteries and cardiovascular system, it's best to keep your pizza consumption to a minimum. And that leads us to our next food, which is fried chicken. Grilled or roasted chicken is a healthy and nutritious food that is packed with protein and amino acids. But after it has been battered and deep fried in hydrogenated oil and grease, then it's a whole different story. The frying process strips away all of its nutritional benefits while packing it full of unhealthy trans fat, which is linked to an increased risk of developing heart disease. Fried chicken may be finger-licking good, but when it comes to taking care of your heart, it's probably best to stick to grilling or baking. Next up on our list is soda. In general, most types of soda are loaded with sugar and full of empty calories and processed carbohydrates. The overconsumption of sugar leads to obesity, which is directly linked to a number of chronic diseases, including heart disease. A study found that drinking 1 can of soda per day increases your risk of dying from cardiovascular disease by approximately 30%. So when you're eating out, you can save a little money by ordering water instead of soda, which is usually free and a much healthy alternative. Another food to avoid is French fries. 2 words, fried potatoes. Need I say more? High potato consumption in general has been linked to an increased risk of hypertension and type 2 diabetes. But when you deep fry them in oil full of trans fat, it only makes them even worse when it comes to taking care of your heart and cardiac health. And that leads us to the next food, which is potato chips. Much of what we just said about French fries applies to potato chips as well. They are typically loaded with sodium and saturated fat, which both have been shown to put a strain on your heart. Potato chips are quite addicting, which is why they're one of the foods that contribute most to obesity. So do your heart a favor on your next grocery trip by skipping these crunchy snacks and leaving them behind. Another food to avoid is donuts. Donuts are triple bad when it comes to the health of your heart. First, they're made of refined flour. They're loaded with sugar, and they're deep fried in grease. I mean, come on. Does deep fried sugary bread really sound like a good idea? Tasty? Yes. Good for your heart? Absolutely not. And to top it all off, donuts are usually high in sodium as well. If a donut is your dessert of choice, that's fine. Just make sure that you know what you're biting into. Speaking of desserts, another one that we should mention is ice cream. Unfortunately, ice cream is high in sugar, calories, and saturated fat, none of which are doing your heart any favors. It's also high in cholesterol as well, which can cause your arteries to become clogged over time. Ice cream contributes to weight gain, which, as we mentioned, puts a strain on your entire cardiovascular system. Instead of ice cream, frozen yogurt or sorbet are some healthier alternatives. Or you can consider making your own healthy ice cream by blending frozen bananas and fruits. Speaking of sugar, this next item has a lot of it. Of course, I'm talking about fancy coffee. Coffee itself is not the problem. Yes, it does contain caffeine, which can increase your heart rate and blood pressure. But when consumed in moderation, coffee in general is fine. It's what you put into your coffee that is the issue. We're talking about the sugar, syrup, creamer, whipped cream, condensed milk, etc. Once you add in all of the unhealthy ingredients, you guys are no longer drinking coffee. That concoction is basically a milkshake, my friend. All of the extra sugar and calories leads to weight gain, which over time increases your risk of heart disease. While black coffee doesn't taste as good, it's much better for your waistline and for your cardiovascular system. The next food often surprises people, and it is processed meats. If you're only looking at the calories, deli meats may seem like a healthy and nutritious option. But what many people don't realize is that they are actually extremely high in sodium, which of course is one of the culprits that leads to cardiovascular disease. Unfortunately, studies found that most individuals consume too much sodium in their diet. And it's foods such as this that is one of the reasons why. Processed deli meats are also high in nitrates, which have been shown to cause inflammation, which can lead to atherosclerosis. Foods to avoid include lunch meat, bacon, hot dogs, sausage, and salami. Real quick guys, do me a huge favor and hit the like button. It really helps support the channel and I greatly appreciate it. And while you're down there, go ahead and click the subscribe button as well, because we have a ton of other videos on our channel that I think you will enjoy. I hope you like the tips that were shared in this video, and hopefully you're now one step closer to improving your diet, keeping your arteries clean, and improving your overall health. As always, to be safe, be sure to speak with your doctor for medical advice and treatment, because they will know more about your individual condition. We are not doctors, and this video is for informational purposes only. And just a reminder, we do have a full guide on this topic on our website. I'll drop a link to it right below this video down in the description. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Have a blessed day, and as always, breathe easy, my friend.